Its job is to shine light into dark corners of our past and present. But tonight, the independent inquiry into child sexual abuse was accused by MPs of failing to properly investigate a claim of sexual assault under its own roof.
Tonight, Newsnight can reveal that the inquiry faces its potentially most challenging criticism yet.
It was an allegation broadcast by Newsnight 4 weeks ago. Tonight, the Home Affairs Select Committee warned the inquiry's failure to properly investigate itself was so serious that it threatened its ability to judge others.
We do not believe that ICSA has taken seriously enough its responsibility to pursue allegations of bullying or disclosures of sexual assault within the inquiry. One of the inquiry's key purposes is to assess other organisations' procedures for dealing with disclosures of sexual assault or abuses of power, and institutional reluctance to confront difficult issues that might jeopardise their reputation. We therefore believe that it is extremely important that the inquiry can show that it treats these issues with appropriate rigour when they affect ICSA itself.
Tonight, inquiry chair Prof Alexis Jay announced an independent review. She said,
"While I am confident that our safeguarding and dignity at work procedures are robust, I recognise the impact of recent speculation and commentary about them. As a result, the inquiry will invite an external senior legal figure to review some of the issues raised in the committee's report."
I think there has been a lack of transparency, and for an inquiry that at its heart is all about uncovering conspiracies of silence and things being swept under the carpet and by public bodies not properly investigating serious child sex abuse, it's really vital that the inquiry itself is as upfront and transparent as it can be. And so these stories about who did what to whom and when and how within the inquiry are not absolutely strategic to the work of the inquiry itself, but are seriously damaging in the way they've been gaining the headlines and overhanging the work of that inquiry. It's a very serious and unhelpful distraction.
Newsnight's report in October revealed the inquiry had dropped an investigation into its most senior lawyer, Ben Emerson. This despite being made aware of a claim of sexual assault against him, a claim Mr Emerson strongly denies. Mr Emerson resigned, but it was agreed he would carry on working for the inquiry for a further 2 months. When MPs asked, answers didn't come.
Why was Mr Emerson suspended?
I cannot discuss anything to do with Mr Emerson's circumstances.
Of all the criticism of the inquiry today, arguably the most acidic came in a letter sent to the MPs by the man who, until last December, had been Ben Emerson's deputy. Hugh Davis QC is an expert in safeguarding. He had never said anything publicly about the inquiry, and the inquiry had told him not to engage with the MPs. Mr Davies ignored them, and in lawyerly language he accused the inquiry of a cover-up.
There is an impression that rather than investigating the disclosures to meet these safeguarding objectives, ICSA has reached a de facto compromise agreement with the subject of the disclosures and ended the investigation. There is no evidence of consideration having been given to either 1, the possibility of recurrence within the inquiry, or 2, what investigation was required, even if the person making disclosure did not wish to pursue a formal complaint, as to risk future employees who may work with the subject of complaint in the future, whether at ICSA or elsewhere.
You can see how an organisation will say, look, things happen on our premises. If the 2 individuals concerned are not going to make a complaint, it's not going to go any further. But on the other hand, an organisation has these days an obligation to provide safe and appropriate working conditions. It can't condone misbehaviour on its premises. It should at least look into what's happened to see whether it's behaving as it needs to safeguard the concerns of people who work there. It can't just cover the whole thing up because there hasn't been a formal complaint.
MPs agreed.
There is a risk to the inquiry's authority if there is a perception of a cover-up over allegations of abuse.
Their lack of preparedness to account for some of the things that have gone on and slightly hiding behind HR excuses for this is an internal matter we all deal with, I'm afraid aren't good enough. And because of the publicity surrounding this, they do need to account for what has has gone on.
The criticism didn't end there. The inquiry accused of not yet doing enough to support the abused.
We regard ICSA's slow progress to date in engaging directly with survivors as being a significant weakness in its work.
We want to see a SA inquiry. We don't want it to stop. We want it to succeed, but we want it to be right. It's important to us because it's about us. It's supposed to be about what happened to us. If you want our faith and confidence, all you have to do is be straight and transparent with us and do what you say you're going to do. So far, you really haven't done that.
Also released tonight letters between senior figures on the inquiry and the Home Affairs Select Committee. Those letters show an inquiry fighting for its independence, resentful of elements of the scrutiny MPs have put them under. But tonight's report has prompted a personal apology from the chair of the inquiry to victims and survivors of abuse. It's an apology for the anxiety caused by recent events. The inquiry is battling to retain the support of survivors of abuse. Bitter experience means many of them fear institutions will always tend to sweep embarrassing issues under the carpet. That is why how the inquiry handle their own matters so much.